Well, hello. Glad to have you. Welcome to my cellar. Okay, this is going to be a short one because I didn't get too many comments, which I understand. It's the holidays and all that stuff. Or maybe I've just gotten boring. I guess I'll figure that out in time. So, I don't want to sound like I'm trying to rush through it, because I'm not. There's just not a whole lot here, but who knows? I may grow profound later. Commenting today, wish you a happy birthday. Yes, thank you. All of you who sent me birthday wishes, I appreciated it. The best thing about being 76 is being alive to blow out the candles. I wish now that I had the courage to submit stuff for the dragon. I think I assumed it was only for professionals. Well, I do not mean this sarcastically. I mean this in explanatory. There were no professional game writers when I started that magazine. There were a couple of people who had been submitting stuff to the Strategic Review. There were people writing interesting stuff in fanzines like Alarms and Excursions. But professionals? No. Now, several of the people that wrote for me in the early magazines became professionals, particularly guys that were writing for me, and it was all men, for Little Wars. Several of them became talking heads on the Military Channel and the History Channel. That I think I've mentioned before, but there were no professionals. A professional is someone who gets paid to write. Well, when I bought the first article, I guess that made them a professional, but it was not like I was sniping guys from the Harvard Review or the New York Times or anything like that. Far from it. So yeah, sorry, too bad. I helped some guys become better writers, and for that I'm proud. But there were no professionals until I started sending out checks. I played some absolutely great games with time components. It doesn't have to be you must be out of the dungeon in 3 hours type thing. It could be it could be in 1d4, 1d6 turns. The orcs from the tower will arrive. That big stone ball from Indiana Jones, which you can hear rolling down the corridor, will get to you. The lava will explode from the volcano. The river rises. The ice cracks. It gets so bad you fall through. The fuse to the pile of black magic powder will burn. The guards will make another round, etc. It's a really fun component, even if sometimes feels forced. However, all good drama has this. James Bond or the world is always going to die in a few minutes if he doesn't finish the next leg of his adventure. If it works for you, and that's swell. I have a time constraint on the Wheel of Blame that I run. It's limited to the number of encounters, to the number of players. It runs roughly a half hour for every player, so 7 players, it's usually a 3.5 or so hour game. Now, at conventions, I have time constraints. I have to be off the table in 3.5 or 4 hours, no fooling around. So that time constraint, especially at a con, is always looming over your head. You're always looking at the watch and figuring where this is going to be when the clock runs out. Not so on the Wheel of Blame, but I am going back to running standard adventures. Standard in being storyline, etc., pre-written. I'm going to run 2 of those at I think I'm running 2 at Gary Con, and I'll probably run those a couple times at Wizard Con. So those time constraints. When I was playing down in Carbondale, there was a second group that came out to my house, the 5 or 6 hardcore guys, and we all sat around the living room, and my daughter was asleep and usually hollering to come out and join the fun. And we were constrained by, well, when Cheryl gets home, it's game over. So there's always time constraints. Now, I've heard of players who've played 14, 16-hour marathons in college or on a weekend or whatever. That's great, especially if you got the stamina. I played weekend marathons playing 1914 with Ed when I was in the service, so I completely understand that. That's a good idea. ICRPG, Index Card RPG, is my favorite adaptation of this rule. It's sort of 5e and OD&D basic and had a heavy metal kit. There's no power creep. It's always deadly. It's also probably a top 5 DM manual of anything I've read. After you get through Shadow Dark, let me know if you'd like a copy of the rules to look at. Yeah, I always like looking at new rules. As I was trying to explain to my friend who loaned me the Shadow Dark, which I haven't done anything but flip through a little, when I'm in the right frame of mind, there's nothing I like better than jumping into a set of rules and at least power skimming to see where it's going. Sure. I chose to use one comment that is of a nature that we normally don't go into. I seriously hate that I had to live through this time in American history. What a depressing time for our nation. And any of you who've watched me long enough know, yes, I sympathize, I share your thoughts, I empathize. God knows what the next 4 years will bring. Okay, and I'm looking for the old copies of the Snake Riders. They weren't where I thought they were, but I'll see what I can do and see if I can find some that aren't all marked up or whatever. I know I've got a couple, 3 floating around over here in the morass of my gaming stuff. Okay, this is the one I've been looking for, waiting for. On the next video, can you talk about the dwarven ponies that people talked about in the 70s and where the idea came from? It came from the pit ponies of the coal mines in England, Scotland, and Wales. They had horses. Ponies were the best for the smaller bore mines, if you will. They used ponies. For the larger bore mines, they occasionally used horses, or they'd use ponies from farther in, and they drug carts of ore or coal or whatever they were digging, usually coal, and they drug them back and forth in the darkness of the mine. So someone, and who will forever remain anonymous, unknown only to history, someone came up with a neat idea, and it was, I believe it was in Alarms and Excursions, Lee Gold's old fanzine, that I first saw it. And they figured, well, these ponies were accustomed to working underground and they had no qualms with the dark or anything like that. We'll just go buy we'll go buy ponies. And they decided that dwarven ponies were the best because dwarves had bred the smaller, more strong variety, and after all, they can go into the dungeon with us. And oh my God, it was like dwarven pony spores had been spread upon the land. Everybody's got dwarven ponies, dwarven ponies, dwarven ponies. Well, there's no special breed that is a dwarven pony. There's no breed that can't work. They used lots and lots of ponies in the coal mines in England. And so they were literally overrunning the game. People were able to haul out enormous amounts of stuff, far more than their own encumbrance would allow. And it was getting, well, it was like, this isn't an exact, but it's like finding Thorin's treasure and not only being able to fill up your pockets and your rucksack and whatever, but now you got ponies to haul it out with you. Kind of tipped that balance. So I put a counterweight on that and invented the boulet and give him a desire to eat nothing better than dwarven ponies. He loves them. It's his favorite hunting. He decimates wild herds of dwarven ponies. So, it was good D&D. It was very good D&D. Something from real transformed into the world of D&D. However, in our opinion, we thought that it was overbalancing things, and we were hearing from DMs that were crying out for relief. So we gave them a monster to put in their games that took care of the dwarven ponies, and we also let them climb trees and small, not all the way up, but and burrow like crazy and like halflings or hobbits as a snack. So that's where they came from. They came from history. There really were ponies that worked in the mines. And so somebody spun it a little further. There was a race of pony, or a breed of ponies bred to live underground. Yeah. And they're still there. But the DM has in his hand a tool to cull the herd. You're welcome, DMs. The fact checkers that you praise so much were highly politically biased and would skew the facts to their narrative and political belief. I'm aware of that. I was trying to be ironic, in a way, because now we don't even have that. It's just unmitigated spew. And I find that to be dangerous. It certainly doesn't do society any better. I mean, no, I'm not going into politics. I promised I wouldn't, so I won't. I'm trying to think. I know this hasn't been going very long. It's kind of a short one. I don't know if Jim has anything funny to put on the front or not. If nothing else, it's a placeholder until you send me more comments. Ask more questions. There will be no Curmudgeon on February 1st. I will be in the Keys, lolling on my son's porch, admiring the deer that run wild. And as I record these on Thursday and I'm leaving early Friday morning, so I'm going to skip a week, but I'll be back after. Now there's one more between now and then, yes. There is one on the 29th. There will not be one. 29th, 25th. Weird calendar page, blue with cream letters, but it's got a good cat picture on the top. So, until then, play hard, play well, enjoy the camaraderie. I have no update yet on the group I'm trying to get going at the library. This very unseemly, very abnormal snow conditions we're in have really hampered things quite a lot. So school got back started much later than it was scheduled to because it's when the storm hit. So I don't know. But until then, roll those dice and have a good time. And I'll say Dodata Gobi. Hello, and welcome to my son.
He's the curmudgeon who wrote about the dungeons. Now he's the feller, live from the cellar. Talks about D&D and old school RPGs. Still quite a feller, the curmudgeon in the cellar. Last man around when them rates went down. Calling Gary in that Lake Geneva town. Hey Gary, it's an awful mess. Let me edit, we'll have success. D&D and Dragon Magazine. He's the curmudgeon who wrote about the dungeons. Now he's the feller, live from the cellar. Talks about D&D and old school RPGs, but he's still quite the feller, the curmudgeon in the cellar. Magic missile, it's a mortar shell. Make it hit in the first level spell. Brought psionics to the game to attack that wizard's brain. ESR and fantasy, collection of micro armory. Titan with tramp under a tree, high as could be. He's the curmudgeon who wrote about the dungeons. Now he's the feller, live from the cellar. Talks about D&D and old school RPGs, but he's still quite the feller, the curmudgeon in the cellar. Still quite the feller, the curmudgeon in the cellar.